After 6 years, several Netflix specials, one very tell-all memoir, and approximately 1,000 tabloid front pages, Harry and Meghan are moving back to England. Not visiting, moving. Archie and Lilibet are said to be enrolled in English schools. Meghan is reportedly running her As Ever brand from British soil. And the reason they're coming home? It is not what the headlines are telling you. Grab your tea, because this one's juicy. Here's the thing most coverage gets wrong. They'll frame this as a family reconciliation story. The prodigal son returns, the king forgives, everyone hugs it out at Highgrove. Cute, but that's not the real story. The real story is about security, and about the one thing this family has never been able to agree on. So before I tell you what actually pulled them back, you need the full picture, because you can't understand the ending without the beginning. Let's set the scene. January 2020. A single Instagram post. 9 short words, no palace approval, and the whole thing detonated. Megxit. The world watches Harry and Meghan pack their bags for Canada, then California, like royals doing the world's most dramatic gap year. And look, the reasons they gave were fair. The tabloid pressure on Meghan had become relentless. The racism, the double standards, the fact that every single thing she did was dissected, while other members of the family got a free pass. Harry grew up watching his mother chased by press, and he was not going to let history repeat itself with his wife. So they left. But here's the part people forget. Leaving was never meant to mean leaving forever. The original plan was a stepping back, a half-in, half-out arrangement, where they'd earn their own money but still represent the crown part-time. They wanted to keep one foot in the door. The Queen said no, you're either in or you're out. There's no part-time monarchy. So out they went. And then, the part that gets the most attention, because it's the part that made the most money, they said they wanted privacy. And then gave us an Oprah interview, a 6-part Netflix docuseries, and a memoir called Spare, with more bombshells than a Bond movie. Very private stuff, very quiet exit. The Oprah interview alone, over 49 million people watched it in the first 3 days. That's not a private family having a quiet word, that's the biggest television event of that year. And the claims kept coming. Conversations about the colour of Archie's skin, the royal family's treatment of Meghan's mental health, the feeling of being trapped in the institution. Then Spare. Frostbitten, I won't go into detail, we've all heard it. The physical fight with William, the resentment about always being the spare. Harry laid it all out, chapter by chapter, in a book that sold faster than almost any non-fiction memoir in history. Every time the palace hoped the story would die down, the Sussexes had another project ready to go. Netflix, Spotify, publishing deals. They didn't just leave the royal family, they built a competing royal family in California with a media empire attached. But there was a cost to all of this. And that cost is the whole reason they're coming home. We'll get there. Since then, Harry's UK trips have been about as frequent and about as warm as a British summer. The Platinum Jubilee in 2022, the Queen's funeral just months later, the coronation. Each time, Harry was there. And each time, he was very clearly not part of the family circle, sat rows back, positioned away from William, in and out before anyone could offer him a proper cup of tea with Dad. The funeral was the moment it really landed for people. There's Harry, walking behind his grandmother's coffin, and he and William are deliberately not walking together. The brothers who once stood side by side at their mother's funeral, now separated by their cousin. It was the image that told the whole story, and here's what nobody talks about enough. Every one of those visits was a security calculation. Harry couldn't just pop over for a weekend. Every trip required legal negotiations, protection arrangements, and a fight about who was going to pay for it. Okay, here's where the actual story lives. This is the thread that pulls everything else together. When Harry stepped back, he lost his taxpayer-funded police protection. Immediately. That was the deal. You leave the institution, you lose the institutional perks. Fine. But Harry's position was that it's not a perk, it's a safety issue. His family, he argued, still faces genuine threats, and he should be allowed to pay for his own police protection when he visits. The Home Office said no, multiple times. So Harry took them to court, and he's lost repeatedly. He said over and over that bringing his family back without proper protection felt impossible, which, fair, nobody wants to bring the kids somewhere without so much as a bodyguard. But here's the twist nobody connects. If Harry moves back to the UK full-time, not visiting but residing, the entire security calculus changes. A resident of the UK with that level of threat profile is treated differently than a visiting private citizen. The legal battle over why should we protect a part-time royal dissolves if he's simply home. And that right there is the quiet reason behind the whole move. Security wasn't just a hurdle to visiting, it was the argument for staying. Then came July. Harry back in the UK for Invictus Games business, his baby, the one genuinely uncontroversial thing he's built, and the thing the whole family can actually agree is good. And in the middle of it, an offer that got quietly unoffered. Word was Harry might stay at Buckingham Palace during the visit. Then, just as quietly, the palace apparently had second thoughts. A lot of raised eyebrows, a lot of, wait, they're actually talking again? And then, equally fast, oh, maybe not. It was the perfect snapshot of where this family has been for 6 years. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and nobody ever quite sure which version of the relationship they're looking at. But apparently, behind closed doors, something softer was brewing. King Charles and Camilla reportedly hosted the whole Sussex crew, Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lilibet, for a cosy afternoon at Highgrove. And if the reports are right, it was the first time Charles had seen all 4 of them together in 4 years. Think about that for a second. A grandfather meeting his grandchildren for the first time as a complete family unit, 4 years after they left the country. That's not a state visit. That's not a summit. That's somebody trying to fix something before it's too late. Charles is in his late 70s now. He's had his own health battles very publicly. And whatever you think about the man, the clock is real. Somebody passed the king a tissue. And now, the plot twist nobody had on their 2026 bingo card, the whole family is reportedly moving back to England, possibly within days. Archie and Lilibet are already said to be enrolled in English schools, which means somewhere out there a very unlucky school administrator is fielding a lot of press calls right now. Good luck to them. And they're not moving into a palace, no royal duties, no staterooms. They're planning a private home outside London, just Meghan, quietly running her as-ever empire from British soil instead of Californian soil. Which is the detail that tells you everything. They're not coming back to be royals again. They're coming back to be a family, on their own terms, close to the people they've spent 6 years fighting with through lawyers. Same people, different postcode, no crown. So after 6 years, a small library's worth of tell-alls, and one very expensive security saga, the Sussexes are coming home. Quietly, privately, which for this family might be the most surprising twist of all. The security battle that everyone assumed kept them away, turns out it might be the very thing that brought them back. A family that couldn't agree on protection, finally finding a version of it they can all live with. Reconciliation, or just a really dramatic change of postcode? Tell me your theory in the comments. I read every single one. And subscribe to Luxury Matcher because you know this story isn't over.